Hey everybody, it's Troy again, sharing with you lately both my passion and my frustration. I've been sitting here working on a couple of pens this evening, and you can probably tell. I've been working on, my wife had a pen I gave her for Christmas, and it's a fairly pretty pen. Didn't pay a whole lot of money for it. Don't tell her that though. But it was a fairly inexpensive pen I got from China on eBay, and quite honestly, when I'm trying to find out if someone's even going to like having a fountain pen, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on it. But when I first got it and we inked it up, it actually wrote fairly well, so I couldn't complain about it. And it would stop writing after a while. One of the things is she doesn't write with it very often. It would sit over in a little pen holder, or, those little metal things, or in a cup kind of thing, and it would just sit there for like months before she'd ever pick it up and write with it. That can be a problem. So I've had to fix it a couple of times for her, and I had in it Noodler's Bay State Concord Grape. Not the Bay State Blue, but the Concord Grape. And I kind of like that ink. It writes very nicely. Matter of fact, I'll show you, I think I got a writing sample here, because I just inked up the last of that particular sample I had in an old Jinhao pen that I had laying around that I'd run out of green ink. So I flushed it out and I put it in that pen just yesterday. And it actually looks fairly nice. Purple's my favorite color. It's also my wife's favorite color. The only problem I'm running across with this stupid pen is right now it doesn't want to cap. It doesn't want to cap properly, so it doesn't snap like it should. You got to push and just hope it stays. I was wrestling with the inner cap to see if I can get that to work better, but it's giving me a problem. So who knows? We may just flush this out and just never use it again. I don't know. But what I did do is went ahead and put in some, it's my wife's pen, just playing with it. Once I got it writing again, my go-to ink lately has been Waterman's Serenity Blue. It used to be called Florida Blue, but they changed the name for some reason. I guess they thought it sounded better. So that was one of my frustrations today. Now my other frustration that I've been having is this one right here. This is a pen, one of the first vintage pens I ever ordered, and I bought it off from eBay. There was a guy who had a listing for a pen and pencil set. It is a Sheaffer Imperial from the 1940s. It came with this box, and there was writing on the box that someone had given it as a gift in like 1947. So I assume it's pre-1947 or maybe that year, and if so, then it's going to be pre the days of the touchdown system for the Sheaffer Imperial. And when I got it, I mean, I didn't know squat about them. It was a lever pen. The only thing I ever knew about lever pens is what I saw from the Three Stooges, when they had a fountain pen that writes under whipped cream, and then another episode when they had thought that they were wealthy, and were getting kicked out of a hotel, and he squirted a fountain pen with a lever action in someone's eye through a keyhole. So that's all I ever knew about lever action fountain pens. So I went ahead and ordered this. I think shipped to my door, $17 all inclusive. So I figured, what the heck, it's an old Sheaffer. I'm familiar with the name. So when I went to go use it, they told me it was in good shape. Well, obviously it came from an estate, and the person who was selling it knew nothing about them. The lever, when you went to go touch it, went crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. Dust was falling out through where the little lever trap here hole is, and I just could not believe it. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This pen is totally useless to me. I don't know anything about it, so I started to do some research. The good thing that came about this pen is it caused me to start to look and not be defeated with it. So I started to look online, and I found out about lever action pens a little bit. Found Richard Binder's site from up in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm a New Hampshire boy myself. Been living in North Carolina since '88. So I looked at him. I saw some of the videos that were taken of him as a documentary. So I said, all right, he must have some good advice. And his name kept coming up when it came to fountain pen repair and restoration. So this particular pen, I found that I needed to tear it apart, replace replace the sack in it. So I had ordered some sacks from indy-pen-dance website, and so I got 3 number 16 sacks. I got the sack cement, and I found out how to clean it up a little bit on my own, played with it a little bit. Didn't do a tremendous job with it, but it was my first. You know, hey, the first time we do something, we all don't really know what we're doing. So, okay, it stayed. It was able to hold ink. I had a hard time writing. It didn't write very well, but I was able to actually get some ink flow finally. I mean, I had heated this sucker up. I had soaked it in water. I finally was able to get the nib section apart from the barrel before I could do all that stuff. So then I discovered it bit by bit, cleaned it out, and put the new sack, finally got the new ink, and I started to write okay, and I think I put in Diamine Onyx Black. And it wrote for a little bit, and I was excited. I was like, yes, I got it done. Well, after a while, it stopped writing. Now, I probably have about 30 pens that are inked up at any given time. That may be part of the problem, quite honestly, because I get a new pen, I ink it up, I put it in my rotation, I use them, I rotate them. For instance, I got this Wing Sung 698 here recently, and I've been using it the past 2 days. On a weekend I usually do for both Saturday and Sunday, because I usually do less writing, but I've been writing lists of stuff that people to see at the pen show, things to try to pick up at a pen show, and all the little shopping lists and things like that. So I've been actually using that a lot this weekend, and I kind of like it, by the way. It does have a slight problem with the piston going in one direction as opposed to the other, but overall a decent pen. But back to this. So I'm sitting here this evening, and I did some reading. It's a Sunday night. It's my time right now is a little after 8 o'clock as I'm recording this. So I sat down and I said, I'm still bothered by the fact that I couldn't get this one writing. So here I was, looking up more information online and trying to figure out, let's see if it's something with the nib. I have no idea how to get the nib out, so I started researching that, and it's still not going to budge, and I can't get that stupid nib out. So I figured, all right, what have I got to lose? Let's go ahead and fill it. And so I put it on my Waterman Serenity Blue, which is my go-to ink, and because it's got, a blue trim, I figured it might go well together. And so I started to play with it a little bit, and it started to skip some. It really didn't work well. I kept playing with it and started working on the nib just a little bit. I got out my loop, started looking at it, and okay, everything's in alignment, so why isn't it writing? So it started to write finally, but it started to fork a little bit in its writing. Previously, if you had to press kind of hard in order to get it to write if it stopped. Well, this time I just went ahead and started playing with it just a little bit, try to make micro adjustments to it, and then I found, okay, there's a little bit of hair or a little bit of fabric from paper, maybe a few fibers that are in there. Get that out, and it still started to give me a little bit of a hassle, but lo and behold, I started to play with it a little more, and started to write down here. I was like, all right. So I got that working okay. And I am not a fan of fine nibs. That's the one thing I don't like about this pen. If anything, it's a fine nib. I tend to like medium nibs. I think medium nibs are a lot smoother. And I'm not the kind of guy who likes to do calligraphy. I'm not the kind of guy who likes incredibly fine writing necessarily, but nonetheless, I'm a user. I'm an end user, so I'm also a guy who likes to tinker with stuff just to try to make it work, although sometimes I really suck at it, which is why right now I'm having a bathroom remodeled in my home, and I'm hiring a professional to do it because I know how badly I'd screw it up. So I had the money saved for it, so I got a guy who's been working on it. But I finally got it to write with the Waterman Serenity Blue just a few minutes ago before I started this recording. And you can see it's a very fine line that comes out of this pen. And the Waterman Blue is always a decent blue. So here's the bottom line is why I'm putting this out. Don't quit. Don't give up. You got ones that don't want to write. Keep working on them. I'll see how this one continues to write, if at all. But the fact is, not only did I get it to write, I got it to fill with the lever this time instead of pulling it out and having the bulb squeeze it myself. But I got it to fill with the lever, I got it to fill properly, I got it to write finally properly, and hopefully it'll keep going. If not, I'm going to tinker with it some more and beat it into submission the best I can. So anyway, that's my advice to you and my encouragement. don't give up, as I give you, the purple hands up.